So, you want to sound like a Combine Soldier from Half-Life 2. Not a problem. This is the tutorial for you. Before we get started, however, I highly suggest that you take a look at the video in which we go over the basics and troubleshooting of using FL Studio as a voice changer. If you've already have, then let's get started. Obviously, we want to head over to our main browser. For me, for example, it's Opera. And we want to head to the ImageLine website in order to get ourselves a copy of FL Studio. Obviously, it's going to have to be the Producer Edition, but you knew that already if you've gone through the basics video. Up next, we are going to want our virtual audio cable. Simply download, install, and then restart your computer to ensure the installation is done properly. And also, optionally, you can use G-Form. This is optional as FL Studio does come equipped with a pitch shifter of its own, but if you wish to get G-Form instead, so be it. Let's get started on the Combine Soldier voice changer. This one is going to be very simple. This one's going to be a lot simpler than the Combine Grunt, for example, here, as it doesn't really take as many. The Combine Soldier voice changer is not going to be a one-to-one copy, but it is a lot more simple than the... Now, the Combine Soldier vocoder seen here is not a one-to-one copy of Half-Life 2 Soldiers. However, it is a lot simpler than the Combine Grunt vocoder, as it does not use the Patcher plugin. It only uses about 6 plugins here. Let's get started with our pitch shifters. These pitch shifters can also be changed out for the use of G-Form, if you'd like. Personally, I prefer FL Studio's pitch shifter, as it gives a lot more stability compared to G-Form, and you are going to need 2 of them. If I open both up here, of course, you can see here I'm using the trial version of Pitch Shifter, as it's not necessary to buy it, and it does not come included with the Producer Edition of FL Studio. The only issue that'll pop up with the trial version is that you cannot save your progress or your settings, so you'll just have to put them in every time that you want to use the Pitch Shifter. But you can go back to this tutorial and get the settings that I am about to explain here, not a problem. In order to sound like the Combine Soldier, we're going to want to have both pitch shifters set to -12 pitch. We're going to want it nice and low. And then one of the 2 pitch shifters, doesn't matter which one, is going to want to be set to a formant of -3. Be careful with both of your pitch shifters, as the formant correction usually starts at the bottom here as default. If you find this knob at 0, make sure that it goes all the way up. Once those settings are set, you're going to sound like so.
With 2 pitch shifters as if once, you're going to sound just like this. As you can see here, the low pitch is going to double itself, as well as the formant is going to assist you as well.
As you can clearly see, we already sound like a Combine Soldier, just without the radio frequency hertz rate. These next couple are going to go through that exact thing. The Destructor here is set to a couple of different filters that are active at once. What the Destructor does here is, it makes your voice sound like you're being transmitted through a radio, or bit crushes your voice a bit.
Here's an example of just what you sound like when your voice is sent through a Destructor.
Your Destructor settings are as follows. A Module 1 cutoff of 50%, resonance filter of 50%, Module 1 set to smooth, oversampling double, bandpass 12, in set to 0 dB, mix of 85%, and an out of 6 decibels, or maxed out. Up next, you want a Module 2 to be a distortion algorithm, a preamp of 3 decibels, a gate threshold of -25 decibels, a dry-wet ratio of 55%, post-gain of 6 decibels, noise bypass of 85%, your filter to be on, center to be on, oversampling double, and mode set to abrasive. You want your in to be 6 decibels or maxed out, mix set to 50%, and your out to be -5 decibels. Distortion 2 here is turned off because it is an optional setting here. I'm not going to go over it as I don't usually have it on myself, but you can follow these settings here. And last but not least, the Module 4 filter is set to a cutoff of 50%, resonance of 25%, mode set to smooth, oversampling is double, bandpass 12, in 0 decibels, mix of 85%, and an out rate of 1 decibel. Almost the same as the first one, just with less resonance. And with all 3 samples put together, including your pitch shifters and Destructor,
You should sound like this.
moving on to the frequency splitter here, this is going to further help us with that radio frequency. as you can hear with this plugin active, we sound like our low frequencies in our voice are being cut off completely, as well as some of the high-end frequencies. In order from left to right, all you need to do is set your low-mid frequency slope to 96 decibels, set your low-mid frequency to 272.5 Hz, your band set to 3, your mid-high frequencies set to about 5,000, and your mid-high frequency slope to 24 decibels. Make sure that both your low frequencies and your high frequencies are turned off. If they're on, they'll look like this. If they're not on, they'll look like this. The orange button here means that your mid frequencies are being soloed out. You don't have to worry about these knobs here as they're not important. Just make sure that these knobs here, as well as these slopes, are set properly. With all of these settings mixed together,
You're gonna sound like this.
as I've said before, Sound Goodizer is only really used to make your voice sound goodized. With all these settings together, your voice will sound like this.
Testing, 1, 2. Sector is clear.
Last but not least, at the very end, all you want is a fruity limiter in order to get all the background noise out. You really just want to set your noise gate properly in this. Set your release to about 800, gain of 0, and a threshold of whatever your bass background noise is. Another note that I can go over is the fact that you can put another Sound Goodizer at the beginning of this if you so wish. Remember, the order of operations is in effect here, so if you put your pitch shifters first, it's going to go through a Destructor, frequency splitter, Sound Goodizer, and go down the list. So the order that I have it is very important. Make sure that you have it like this. If you have your Sound Goodizer somewhere in the middle, then it's going to go through the pitch shifters and Destructors before it goes through the Sound Goodizer. So having it at the beginning does help a lot more than having it in the middle. And that should be everything. With all 6 plugins active, we sound like this.
Overwatch activates Central Transport Stabilization Teams. Hardpoint Nomad reactivate perimeter restrictor and report. Hardpoint Nomad reactivate your perimeter restrictors and report. Nomad, get those restrictors back online. Your sector shows active biotics. Hardpoint Nomad reactivate perimeter restrictors and report. Hardpoint Nomad reactivate your perimeter restrictors and report. Nomad, get those restrictors back online. Your sector shows active biotics. Leader 9 to Hardpoint Stinger report. Containment status. Post-Stinger theory. Team 14-9 assemble and reinforce Leader 9 closing port local control. Leader 9 to Hardpoint Stinger report containment status. Post-Stinger theory. Team 4, Team 9 assemble and reinforce Leader 9 closing for local control. Warning, primary target is engaged in command and control tactics with biotics. Repeat, primary target has tactical CNC of biotics. Warning, primary target is engaged in command and control tactics with biotics. Repeat, primary target has technical CNC of biotics. Leader 9 deservice, Judge 3 field promotion active. Leader 9 deservice, Judge 3 field promotion active. Team Sundown 3, set Viscerators and Sector Apex 5 and advance for contact. We have biotics at the perimeter. Team Sundown 3, set Viscerators in Apex 5 and advance for contact. We have biotics in the perimeter.
With that said, congratulations, you sound like a combined soldier now. If there are any questions or concerns or troubleshooting tips that you require, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below.